Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to get over himself when he started berating me for not picking up his brother's son from school? My husband, 37, took his nephew, 12, in after his dad, my husband's brother, was diagnosed with cancer. He told me that his nephew would be staying with us until his dad completes his chemo treatment. I agreed, although he did not consult me about it first, but I told him that he'll be his responsibility, not mine. He asked me to explain why, and I told him it's because 1, he didn't consult me before taking his nephew in, and 2, I'm not equipped nor experienced in taking care/being committed to childcare. I still have to cook and clean, obviously. He said it was fine and that he'd be taking care of him on his own. The other day he called me in the afternoon saying he was stuck in a 2-hour meeting and asked if I could go pick his nephew up from school. I said I was having lunch with Mom and discussing family issues. He insisted, but I reminded him that he said he'd be taking care of his nephew, including school pickup/drop-off. I suggested he try to get off work or call some family member to go pick him up. He tried to argue, but I hung up. I went home at 3 and surprisingly found my husband there. He was angry and started yelling at me, calling me selfish and unfeeling. I told him that his lack of management wasn't my fault. He yelled, saying that my lunch with Mom could have effing waited, but I chose to be effing petty just to prove a point. I said that wasn't true and told him to get over himself and stop acting like he was the victim when he put himself in this situation, knowing he wouldn't commit. He yelled that he was trying to do all he can to help his brother out, but it was me who's playing victim after I refused to help out. We argued some more, and I ended up going to stay with my mom for the night. He texted me some choice words. That's when I turned my phone off. We're still arguing about it. I just don't like either person in this story a whole lot. Like, first off, you keep referring to it as like your husband's nephew or, my husband's brother's son. Like, if you're married to your husband, it's your nephew. That is how that works. You kind of marry into a family. And it just seems weird to me for you to be like, oh, no, ick. Like, and it's fine, it's fine you don't want to take care of kids. And super wrong that the husband did not consult his partner beforehand. That is not okay. You don't do that. Like, that's a huge decision. Even though, yes, I think it's wonderful that this husband wants to take in his brother's kid when his brother has cancer. That's really, really kind and wonderful. But no matter how good of a thing it is a huge decision, and you gotta talk to your partner about that. But also, like, okay, now the partners agreed, like, well, fine, but it's all your responsibility. And to also just be like, no, I'm genuinely never going to help out. I don't care. Like, that's not a good partnership. This doesn't seem super healthy. Like, I know partnerships need certain boundaries and stuff. That's fine, but it really feels like this person's like, no, we're dating, but I don't care about your family, and I will never burden myself to help them. I've married you, and I don't care about the things you care about in life. Like, I might be blowing this completely out of proportion, but it's just, I don't see any winners in this. I think that they both have screwed up, and I don't like it, so moving on. Story 2. So a guy has misled me, and I mirrored his own crappy behavior knowing it would hurt him. In a nutshell, I was seeing a guy who I met randomly through a friend. He asked me on multiple dates, and I have straightforwardly told him that I am not looking for just a hookup, to which he assured me that his intentions were different and that he felt like this could go somewhere. Fast forward a month of us going on dates, talking, him being the perfect gentleman, we sleep together, and 2 days later I get hit with I've realized I'm not ready for anything serious right now and I want to be transparent with you. Let's keep it casual. BS. How convenient. So I've decided not to be an adult and play his game. I pretended to be confused but then said that it's better for us both this way. He immediately called me and started asking, to which I responded, well, I realized I don't want anything serious with you, which made him go insane. It's been a week and he's calling me every day wanting to spend time with me, trying to make me want him apparently. One thing that changed is now he's getting the full-on random hookup option treatment, obviously. Sort of being suggested by this sub after realizing I'm by far not a villain here. I see no problems with this. Yeah, the person you slept together 2 days later is just like, I'm not ready for anything serious. now that I've had intercourse, which maybe that's it. Maybe that was legitimate. Until, of course, this person goes, yeah, you're right. I realized I don't want anything serious with you. And they're like, what? Like, people stop. Just be open and honest with each other from the get-go about stuff. Don't, I don't know. Bleh. Story 3. Me and Karen, a love story. Just kidding, Karen's a total B, but buckle up because here is my novel. My husband and I are in our late 30s and child-free. Some people on child-free said I should post here too, so enjoy the saga. My husband and I have been saving up for almost a decade to move to a tropical paradise. About 2 years ago, we bit the bullet and moved to our dream location. Housing here is super expensive, like Hawaii prices, so all we could afford was half of a duplex. It is beautiful and on the water with places for our boat. Unfortunately, Karen, Billy Bob, the boyfriend, and her 3 gremlins live in the other unit. Setup. There was a period of time where we just went for a week here and there, but we live here full time now. The entire duplex was owned by an older gentleman who rented out both sides. The sides do not match at all. One side is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. The other side of the duplex is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. We bought a 5-bedroom. On our side of the property, we have 90% of the backyard, a gazebo, and dockage, about 150 feet since it is on a corner. The other side has a small backyard, patio, and maybe 15 feet of dockage. The rental leases say the renters are entitled to their specific backyards, but there were no fences or anything, so all the renters shared the entire backyard. After we bought the house, Karen immediately tried to throw her weight around that they expected to continue with that privilege. I told her if she asked politely, we would try to accommodate her. She thought this meant she could use our backyard whenever she wanted. Party incident. One day, my husband and I are enjoying some drinks outside when a delivery truck shows up to set up a giant blow-up thing in our backyard. I asked Karen what the F she thought she was doing, and she said it was her kid's birthday. Then she had the gall to say it was a family and friends-only event, so we had to stay inside our house. Not wanting to be total a-holes and ruin some little girl's birthday, I told Karen after this she had no access to our backyard, period. Karen shrugged and kept setting up for the party. During the party, a drunk adult wandered into our house, which shocked us all. I said Karen's house is on the other side, and he said, "Oh, Karen said she owned the whole property and to use whichever bathroom was available." I directed him to Karen's bathroom, and soon after she came storming into our house, screaming about how dare we make her look bad to her friends and how selfish we are we couldn't even spare one bathroom. She said we didn't deserve all this space with just us. I told Karen to get the hell out of my house or I would be calling the cops. She finally left and the party wrapped up shortly after. Backyard remodel. After the party incident, we decided we needed to clearly define the backyard and build a fence. While we were spending the money, we decided to update the patio, put in a fire pit, and an outdoor kitchen. While the contractor was on site, nosy Karen had to come investigate. Since the fence would be the last thing built, I was vague and just stuck to telling her about the patio update. You could see her face light up because, of course, in her mind, what's ours is hers. When the workers started on the fence, Karen came out screaming for the work to stop. I went outside and told the workers to keep working and told Karen to butt out. Of course, in true Karen fashion, she called the cops. What happened next was hilarity on my part after explaining to the cop that we were building a fence on our property and the landlord, of which Karen was not, knew about it. When the cop gave Karen a stern lecture, I thought her head was going to explode. She went back into her house and slammed the sliding door so hard it sounded like something cracked. We got our fence, and I thought that would be in the end. But of course not. The boat incident. One day, Billy Bob entered the picture, and he was as much a terrible neighbor as Karen. He would throw cigarette butts and empty beer cans over our fence for disrespecting his woman. I didn't know Paradise had trailer trash, but Billy Bob is the epitome of the stereotype. Billy Bob has a boat, a 30-foot fishing boat to be precise. Of course, that side of the duplex only has 15 feet of dockage. Since we have so much dockage and only one boat, we rent out the other dockage spots month to month. People come and go, so if we don't receive rent from them by the end of the month and the boat disappears, we think nothing of it. We had a renter who tied up their boat on the property line, but Billy Bob wanted to park his boat and needed that space. Karen and Billy Bob posed as us, we were out of town, told the renters to be gone at the end of the month, and then parked Billy Bob's boat on the dockage. I only found out about it weeks later because the renter left a nasty review on the rental site we used. They said we were rude and went back on the verbal agreement to let them stay for 3 more months. I was like, what the F is all this? After a phone call, I quickly put 2 and 2 together. I called the cops who told Karen and Billy Bob they needed to move their boat or it would be towed, the equivalent of it anyway. Karen and Billy Bob started screaming the boat is fully on their property. It isn't. Then changed to no one can own the water, true, but a seawall is deeded. That we are liars, and at some point Billy Bob punched a cop and went to jail. I felt bad for the cops, so took them all snacks the next day with a note apologizing for neighbor drama. I ended up winning my small claim suit against them for a lost rental income, but of course haven't seen a dime. I eventually convinced the dockage renters to come back and gave them a few months free as compensation. Final revenge. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Get ready for a juicy justice boner. So, with the collapsing market, we were trying to figure out what to do with our savings when a perfect opportunity opened up. The landlord who owned both properties was in desperate need of some cash and was tired of managing the property from 2,000 miles away, because of course Karen is a Karen and called him weekly for every little thing. His only stipulation was we let the poor single mom who's been his renter for 8 years finish her lease, which is up in July. Since we just have money we were trying to reinvest, and because now we get to control our neighbors, heck yeah, we jumped on that. Since we didn't need a realtor or mortgage, and an inspection had been done just a year ago for the old landlord to refinance, everything closed in just under 2 weeks. Karen was aware of a change of ownership. We registered the property under an LLC, but didn't know who until 8 days ago. I went over to Karen's house and knocked on the door. Karen answered with a, "What the F do you want, see?" I smiled, handed her our landlord information, and sweetly reminded her her rent was due by Friday, but she could just hand me the check if that was easier. I've always heard descriptions of people's faces turning white, but this was the first time I have actually seen it. I told Karen that we're honoring her lease until the end of July, but afterwards she had better make plans to move because we instead want to remodel it before these next tenants move in. Bye, B. Edit. A lot of people misunderstood the beginning. Let's call our side of the duplex OP, the other side is duplex Karen. We purchased a duplex OP. After we bought it, duplex OP was no longer a rental. Both duplex OP and duplex Karen were for sale independently, but we only had money to buy duplex OP. Duplex Karen is still a rental because it has never sold. Now we own both duplex OP and duplex Karen. Duplex Karen is still a rental. Duplex OP is still not a rental. When we made property improvements to duplex OP, it was ours and not a rental. Okay, good on that last part because I was also confused why they still had a landlord, but okay, all cleared up there. B. Neighbors! Why? Why do you have to be so entitled and so crabby and so unhappy? Like, even if your neighbor is like driving you up a wall, you're like, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe they won't let us use their whole backyard, whatever. If you make a big deal about it, if you start being a crappy neighbor because of it and treating them like crap, then now you are living next door, or in this case, in a house that is joined to the house of someone that is going to make you unhappy. And so every day you're going to be unhappy. So maybe just learn to look at these little annoyances or whatever and just let them go. Just be like, you know what? It's not worth it. I don't want to get in a fight with this person because I value my happiness. I feel like this should be so easy. More people need to like smoke or something like that. And I'm talking to, you know what I mean. Shut up. Story 4. Am I the a-hole for asking my parents for their entire estate if they want me to be my sister's guardian? I, 23 female, have been told my entire life that if anything happens to my parents, I will be my sister's guardian. She's 33 and has some disabilities. She's currently living in a group home. The government pays for a good portion of the cost, but not all. My parents have made sure they can access every resource available for her to make sure she has a good life as she can. We were visiting her last weekend when they brought it up again. They're both reasonably healthy, but they had both had health scares in the last couple of years. They once again said that I would be her guardian. I've been giving this a fair bit of thought. I have 2 older brothers. They're both married and established in their careers. They would be better choices than I am. I want to go see the world. I'm lucky enough that my job can be done from anywhere, that I can access the internet. When we went to have a short dinner, I brought it up and said that I had 3 ideas. They made all 3 of us her guardians so we could split the responsibilities and duties. They leave their entire estate to my sister in a trust that will oversee her care. They leave me their entire estate with the proviso that I become her sole guardian and take full responsibility, minus sentimental stuff for the rest of my family, obviously. I thought that was fair since it's not like they're rich and their estate will mostly consist of their house and the insurance policies they took out when they realized the long-term costs of care for my sister. They said that I'm trying to shirk my responsibility to my sister and that I'm greedy for trying to get everything. I had one last suggestion and they really hated it. I said that they were welcome to cut me completely out of their will, but they had to include guardianship of my sister. They could leave everything to her and my brothers, but that meant I would be completely free of responsibility for her care. My dad got really angry and my mom was crying when I left. My brothers both called me to say I was being an a-hole springing this on my parents and that I was being greedy trying to keep them and their families from getting anything when our parents pass away. I asked both of them if they wanted 100% responsibility for our sister in return for the entire estate. I volunteered to sign away everything to them. Neither one took me up on the offer. Screw these parents and screw those brothers for not having their sisters back in this. Like, obviously, you want your sister cared for, but to be asking, or not just asking, but telling the youngest that it's like, oh no, sole guardianship is going to you, the person who is least established, has the least amount of money, and has like all these big plans and everything like that. You're going to get sole guardianship and then part of the estate, but then the brothers don't have to do anything. Like, why would the parents not divide up guardianship or talk? Like, to just assume this on somebody is such an a-hole move. Like, sure, you want her taken care of, but you can't just force that on somebody, especially force all the responsibility, financial responsibility, on the one person who's least ready for that. That's such a donk of a move, and I'm so mad. And yeah, no, I'm 100% on this person's side. They are not an a-hole. The rest of their family is being an a-hole, and that's that. Story 5. Boss told me to gain some perspective, so I did and found a new job. I work as a systems administrator for an IT firm. I got tired of dealing with abusive and angry clients for 5 years. I got tired of being micromanaged and being exploited. I got tired of being talked down to like I was a child anytime the slightest little mistake was made. When my boss learned I was no longer going to work in another market 3 days a week like I originally planned, and he had no one else because no one wanted to deal with the jerks in that market, he spent an hour lecturing me on taking a long, hard look at myself. He said that he was concerned about my reliability after refusing to spend 3 hours a day commuting to the other market on top of my workday. If I can't rely on you to work in the other market, then I just don't know if you can have much of a future with this company. I think you need to take a long, hard look at yourself and gain some perspective. You know what? You're absolutely right. 2 weeks later, I found a new job and gave my notice. He begged me to stay, offered me more money, etc. This went on for days. I said, no thanks. I finally found that perspective you wanted me to find. Boy, am I glad I did. A new job with a raise and benefits and no stress. The only advice you've ever given me of value. Good luck to you. He let me go a week into my notice. Started a new job. I love my new boss and my coworkers. It's been over a year later. The former boss hired 6 different people to fill my spot. Each lasted 1 to 2 months before they left. Wonder why that is. Maybe he needs to gain some perspective on how to run a company and treat people. You idiot bosses, you absolute dunderheaded goobers who think that the only way to make a profitable, successful company is to just unload unreasonable amount of work onto your employees and treat them like garbage and demand the world of them in exchange for nothing. And then you have the gall to be so surprised when these people leave you for people who will actually treat them with a modicum of respect. It blows my mind because you don't even have to be a good person. You just have to be a person who wants to run a successful business to know that maybe you should treat the people who make the money for you kind of nice, because they actually have most of the power. You might be able to hang on to them for a while, but the moment they can find a way out of there and away from you, they're going to do that. And so many other businesses are going to be so much more successful than you because you're being a-holes and idiots. Story 6. I laced my braid with thumbtacks as a self-defense tactic. I, 28 female, was 24 years old at the time and worked in this independent kitchen with no HR department as a cook for several years. There was a brief period of time where a coworker was pulling my hair repeatedly after being asked and told not to. He didn't even stop when my manager told him to F off. So I got permission from my soul to take things into my own hands. I braided my hair for work one day and wove thumbtacks into it. I was met with a yelp when he tried to pull my hair again, and he never did it again. This has been on my mind lately because it was a pivotal moment for me in the way I allow people to treat me. Good on you! Honestly, the only thing that I would have done beyond that is lace your hair with some of Da Bomb hot sauce or something like that. Just enough to where he doesn't realize it's on his hand, and he laughs. Ah ha ha ha! The end. The end! No, you know what? I'm so sick of being nice to some of these people. There's too many jerks in the world, and yes, thumbtack them. Get them. Other people, stop being buttholes. Mom wants me to sign over $250,000 beneficiary check. My dad passed away recently, and it came to light that he named me as one of the beneficiaries on his life insurance policy. Mom says that it was a mistake and that I'm not supposed to be a beneficiary, just my mom. She wants me to file for the money and sign the check over to her. I'm going to go through with it because she is my mom and blah blah whatever, but the insulting part is that my mom says I can keep $5,000 from it to throw my wedding. I only have $2,000 from my own money because my partner and I are kind of broke. Is she being entitled, or am I, or both of us, LOL? Keep the money! Keep the money! Just keep the money! What mom is going to be like, nope, you're not supposed to get $250,000, but don't worry, I'll let you have $5,000 for your wedding? No. She could say oh, he didn't mean to leave it all to you or whatever. Could we split it or something? You should take some of this as a down payment on a house and your wedding and this and that. Your dad meant to leave that to you. People don't just slip up in their will. They don't just go, yeah, leave the money to whoever, Billy, Bobby, I don't care. What? No. Your mom, moms, don't do that. I'm just aghast. I can't anymore. I'm going to take a nap. Ugh. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.